Afternoon. How are you? Afternoon.
Afternoon.
How's it going?
Yeah, I am really good. Really good.
Monday afternoon. We had an excellently sunny weekend down here.
Yeah, likewise up here.
Things are starting to restore themselves to a level of normality, which is quite nice to see.
Are they? I haven't ventured outside yet, so I couldn't tell you.
Still locked down in your bunker.
Still locked down. I don't like to leave the house anymore now.
That's it.
Agoraphobic now, so yeah. That's I just don't really do anything other than come to the workshop.
So, what are we up to this week? What are we doing?
This week we are bringing ourselves up to speed with the 1968.
Yep.
Which is our chapter 7.
Yep.
And it basically it's the latest release that we have, so we've kind of almost caught up with ourselves a bit in terms of what we've been showing everyone over the last 6 videos. So yeah, after this one, who knows, there might be more, but at this point in time, this will be the bringing us up to date.
Yeah, this is the last of the chapters that we've released so far, right?
Yeah.
And what do we? So we chose motorsport this year, didn't we, as our inspiration?
Yeah, 1960s motorsport.
Yeah, the golden era.
And there was a load of colour this year. More colour than we've ever had before. More colour than you could shake a stick at.
Well, we wanted to throw colour into it, just like the Formula One cars of the late 60s, right?
Yeah.
So we thought we've always wanted to experiment with brights and really strong highlights in our watches, and we thought, what better time than an era where Formula One cars were doing exactly the same through all of their advertising.
The 1950s dress watch was kind of fairly subdued in terms of its colorways. That was kind of more classical coloring.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a 53 blue here, which I don't know if you can see on screen. But we kind of experimented more with classical styles, right? Classical color combinations. So 2 tones. I think maybe the edgiest was probably the green edition, where like high contrast. But all of the other pieces were relatively classic, such as this one.
Yeah.
And we wanted to look a little bit more towards the sports styles.
Yeah, and the one thing that we didn't want to do from the start was in the 70s was when all of the huge big sponsors kind of came into Formula One, the kind of tobacco brands and all the oil companies and things. And we didn't just want it to be one of those where, we were kind of just copying colors that have been copied to death over the years. We kind of wanted to get in there early in the 60s where the colors were there. The colors of the car were quite iconic, but they weren't quite as almost copied as they are today. So we do have a few of the Lotus Gold Leaf and things, but some of them were generally just more the colors of the cars, as opposed to like huge graphics that went down the side of them.
Yeah, we're quite conscious when it came to not being too obvious and what's the word? Like, we weren't just going to do a kind of Ferrari red star and turn this into an exercise similar to the 1940s pilot watch, where we were not being inventive enough when it came to creating these color families inspired by different references.
Yeah,
so you can almost see them as a starting grid, couldn't you? The new collection.
Yeah, well, we did like there's 12 of them. We did more watches than we've ever done before, like to our detriment in terms of like nearly killing us. But we did one for every race of the season. There was 12 races in the 1968 season.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you how many cars there were on the grid, but yeah, it is a little bit like a starting grid. And each one kind of referenced the colors of a different car. And it was really exciting. It was a really exciting year, this was, because every year, like we do a lot of car shows anyway, And every year we get asked, when are you going to do your motorsport watch? When's that coming out? Like, we really want to see what that's going to look like. And, you know, we'd kind of had it in the back of our minds that it probably would be the 60s. And it was just so exciting to actually launch and see people's reaction and, yeah, just get really excited about it, really.
Yeah, yeah. So where should we start? Should we start by looking at some photos or?
Yeah, we can start. I mean, yeah, we can start looking at some photos. The one thing that we were, me and Sam were just kind of talking about before was just how crazy the build up to this was in terms of getting everything, like just by multiply. You know, we started out with 4 watches when we had the 1905. We've now basically tripled that with this launch. And what comes with that is basically having to get all those samples ready to make sure that we can show them to people so that when they, you know, they want to pick them up and see what their final design is going to be like, they can see that in person. And so this year, the 1968, we'd promised everyone that Silverstone Classic, which is basically coming up at the end of this month, or would have been last year, that we were going to have all the samples for people to see, because people have been asking for ages. You know, we'd had this on pre-order since March?
It was Easter weekend. So we launched it on the Friday, I believe.
But we had people put orders down at the end of February.
Yeah, so when the watch didn't exist. So it was the first time that we were showing sketches at shows, getting people involved in the development at that stage. And even then, we had people placing deposits on the watch. It wasn't even like it was an idea at an early CAD stage. It was literally just words, words and some marks of some pencil lines.
Yeah.
And I think we wouldn't be able to necessarily do that if we didn't have the history behind us at this stage. No. So we turn up to these shows. Where before this was launched, we had 30 plus watches on our stand. A lot of them sold out. We have the fact that we'd recently moved into the workshop. All of these factors at play to get across the idea that we're here to stay from this point onwards. And the ideas that we're talking about, people know we're going to execute because of what we've done previously.
Yeah, it's really at the start to say to people when they said, "Oh, so how long have you been going?" And we'd say, "Oh, we just started like 6 months ago." For people to pay us money and actually believe that we were going to come up with the goods. Whereas now it's like we've done this every single year, and we don't ever do anything if we're not going to do it. If we're not going to follow through, like we just won't say it. And so yeah, so
it literally takes a pandemic for us to pause the new collection.
And that's
that's the only thing that's stopped us.
And that's been really annoying to know that we kind of are putting the pause on that ever so slightly, because we're quite more than happy just to plow on.
More than happy.
But so we basically promised everyone at Silverstone that we'd have them, only we just didn't have all the bits at that time, like to put everything together, the movements, the hands, the crowns and everything. And so I was basically putting them all together, all of these 12 watches on the stand, that literally probably from about lunchtime on the Friday of Silverstone, which was amazing for people walking past to see. You know, you're looking at this company that's selling watches, and here's the guy that's assembling watches on the stand. And we'd always talked, me and Sam, about how great it would be to do that on the stand anyway, because it'd show people what they were actually getting. But it just really put the pressure on and the spotlight on. And it's normally pretty hot at Silverstone anyway. And just, the feeling of just pressure to try and get these watches assembled. And obviously we'd never put them together for the before that point. You know, that was when people were seeing me putting them together was the first time I was putting them together. And I was just panicked that something was going to go wrong, or, you know, something wasn't going to fit, or, you know, whatever it could have been. It could be a million different things. And then we'd have had to basically show people, oh, these are the watches, but they don't quite go together, so don't judge us.
Well, I thought it worked out really well. Like you said, people could see the story behind the product, but I quite liked that you say that you put yourself under a lot of pressure and you were rushing to get this done, but I think a lot of the people had patience and understood that, and they were there for the whole weekend, and did come to our stand a number of times to see if you had finished the certain like specific watch they wanted to look at.
Not
quite there, yeah, not finished. And it did, like, yeah, sort of bolster this, you know, image of them being hand built and produced. It was quite exciting, and yeah, we had lots of people coming by to see what you're up to, which was good.
It was probably the best show we've ever had, really, wasn't it?
It's definitely the best show we've ever had.
Yeah, and like that year we had Mark there, and we just had a right old laugh. It was like so much fun.
Yeah, so we invited Mark again from Bear Industries to come and sell his products alongside ours. So his items of furniture and the lamps that he builds always looks amazing next to our watches. So it's always a good boost to have him there.
The good lead in actually to talking about the watches and the kind of photography was we'd been trying for ages before Silverstone to try and find a suitable location that we could actually photograph the watches, because we really wanted to like have them, you know, like you've kind of seen before with the photos, like either in situ or with props that would look relevant to the watch. And we thought, oh, you know, we got Silverstone Classic. How amazing would it be if we could actually see if anyone had like a 60s F1 car, and we could, you know, try and approach them and see if they'd let us basically borrow their £1 million car to just like take photographs on. And I remember walking down the pit lane and seeing on the big screen they had Jackie Stewart's 1968 Matra Ford. I think he was doing some laps in it, and I was like, oh, you know, that'd be awesome to go and speak to that. And I spoke to this French guy who the car belonged to, had been in their family for years, and he was like, he was being interviewed by Sky Sports News at the time, and he eventually, I just chatted to him, and he was like, oh yeah, you know, you can come over to France and like photograph. And I was just like, yeah, that seems like quite a long way to go, to be honest. Like, I'll see what else there is out there. And I kind of walked all the way down the pit lane, and eventually found this car at the end, this red car, it wasn't 1968, which was kind of a little bit of a shame, but it was still 60s. It was 1964. And it was owned by a South African guy. And I just got chatting to him, and he was the nicest guy. And he was basically like, yeah, that sounds amazing. Like, come down, like, I'll speak to my mechanic, come down, like, just spend the day, take photographs in it. And it was amazing. It had such a good backstory. Like, me and Sam would always champion the underdog in any situation. And it was about a South African guy that had basically just built his own F1 car. He wanted to race in F1. He built his own car. And he did. He raced it at the South African Ran Grand Prix. And we were just like, this is awesome. Like, as if you just build your own F1 car. Imagine doing that now. Like, that would be insane. Like, just turning up. Like, yeah, I've been working on something in the garage. I think it might be competitive. And so, yeah, we went down and we spent the day, and like, I'll show you the photos in a bit.
The color of this car is stunning.
Yeah, it was absolutely gorgeous. And it was actually racing for the very first time in about 30 years at the Silverstone Classic. They were doing all the testing there, which was like even better. And so, yeah, we just, you know, kind of got on, and he kind of came true on his word, and we went down, we did all the photography. It was great. So, yeah, so I have some photos that I can show you.
Okay, so the white 1968, we produced 25 of these, is that right?
27, Sam.
27 we produced, and they're all gone, aren't they?
All gone. You can't get these now for love nor money.
All gone.
Beautiful watch, though, isn't it?
Very, very nice. Holding one right here as well.
This was.
So we've got a separate video where I kind of do a bit of a rundown on each of the individual pieces in this collection. So it's probably worth checking out that video to get the basics of the watch collection.
If you've got a spare hour.
Got a spare hour to listen to my ramblings.
So that was shot on the back of the gearbox of the F1 car that we were talking about before. This one here.
Yeah, green edition. So these are both the identically spec'd watches, right? So but this one we produced 52 of.
Yep. This was the black one.
Yeah.
I do love.
Yeah, that's amazing. That color.
So that was kind of like, yeah, a bit like the kind of Pepsi.
But it's important to know that all of these, we don't have many left at all, do we? Like some of them, we've got less than 10 of the items remaining out of the 50.
I think, yeah, I think it was great that obviously we did a lot of watches and that took us a lot of time in development, but it just meant that, you know, there was only 52 of each collection. It just meant that they went super quick.
Yeah.
So this one here is slightly different spec. This is kind of spec'd as per previous automatics that we've done. So you'll notice it doesn't have the sub-dial on there. So it's kind of a bit of, I think it's gold, isn't it? The numerals and the hands on that was.
Yeah, so the applied indices have been faceted with a gold highlight on this watch. So it's actually like a subtle two-tone example, but the rest of the case is a matte silver with the color.
Here we are on the gear shift.
That orange is popping.
This was gonna be, for people that don't know, the orange was going to be the competition piece. We were going to do this as a one-off, and then I stupidly sold one to a gentleman very early on, and I was so excited. I went to Sam and I was like, oh my god, like before we've even released them, I've sold the orange. And he was just like, you're an idiot. Like, we discussed this for ages, that was going to be the one-off, and we had to basically like reorder the entire range of what we were going to do. I think it actually worked out in our favor because we managed to put them together in these really nice color families. But yeah, it was basically me doing that kind of caused us to have to rethink everything. This one here,
the red quartz. So this is a battery operated movement. Yeah. But it has the same functionality with the rotating bezel. It's just quartz instead of an automatic. But they're built to the same amounts as previous versions. That's
yeah, and also there was the kind of last year with the 1953, we did an option with the Jubilee bracelet and the leather strap. The Milanese bracelet and the leather strap. And this year we had an option of the Jubilee bracelet that you see here on this photo and the hand-stitched leather strap. But yeah, this one, there was a couple of them that were slightly different, weren't there? This one and the gold one had the sun ray dial as opposed to the kind of almost sandblasted.
Yeah, just for a better effect for the colorway, really.
This was...
Is this the auction piece?
This was it was the auction piece.
We built a one-of-a-kind watch that we auctioned in aid of Mission Motorsport. So the only other auction we'd done previously was with the 1953. We basically choose a charity to support every year with some meaning to the watches we're producing.
This charity was me and the guy that started the charity knew each other, and we were basically talking about what we were going to do about 7-8 years ago over a kitchen table, and we kind of said that hopefully some point in the future it'd be really great to work together on something. So it was really nice with the 60s that we could actually kind of come good on our word and, you know, say that we were going to do what we said we were going to. So that was kind of quite cool. And
it raised over £800, I think, in the end.
Yeah, which was great.
Yeah.
This is one of my favourites. This was the Lotus gold leaf colours, which I just think looks amazing. And then this was part of the kind of green and silver family, wasn't it? But this is the quartz edition.
Yeah.
Another quartz.
This is very it's probably our most popular quartz edition.
Yeah, no, it is.
The cerulean.
And it's always the case. We always slightly, and we shouldn't be, but we're always slightly nervous when we bring out colours because obviously they're incredibly subjective and we don't know which ones are going to perform well and which ones aren't. So it's always a case of, you know, do we play it safe or do we bring out what we think is going to be really good? And with this one, like the orange one, we're like, oh, is it going to be too bright? And then we bring them out, and it's always the ones that we're not sure about that always do amazingly. Not that we're not sure, we always love them, but we just think, will other people love them as much as us? And that one, yeah, did really well. This one here.
This was a 3 of a kind, right?
Yeah. Have you got one, Sam?
Got one on.
Ah.
Yeah, I got mine on. So we allowed ourselves each one, but every year when we're launching the product initially, we do it through a pre-order system that takes a few months for the product to develop, and we obviously a thanks for people's support when placing deposits on watches that will be launched later on in the year. Everyone's name got put into a hat to basically win one of these watches. So this was a quartz edition that we built 3 of in total. Yeah, and so the winner could obviously choose whether they wanted it on the metal, the leather strap.
It's quite an exclusive club, the yellow 1968 club.
The yellow 68 club.
Yeah,
very nice.
So that was basically all 12 of them, which even now looking through them, I'm just still like, it kind of gives me slight palpitations thinking how many we did, because there was just so much that went into those. And you kind of, you know, you saw it over social media over the whole year from the very start, from Sam drawing sketches all the way through, like just this year-long process of eventually, you know, sending them out. And when did we start sending them? Was it beginning of December? Maybe?
We sent them out from late November all the way to the middle of December, because we had basically built up a backlog of orders, which we'd made people aware of. So everybody at the start of the queue from April would obviously have their watches dispatched first. But it's part of that, the beauty of the brand, really, because we've shared everything across our social media, and it's all about people checking in to see where we're up to in the product's development. So that element of trust and almost sort of like running away is never going to be there if we're constantly communicating with our followers. Yeah, like I found this collection really challenging, but ultimately really fun. It allowed us to sort of, I've definitely reflected on the things that were the successful parts of the watch, and things that maybe we could have done a little bit differently. But yeah, we basically bit off a lot. we undertook a lot of different things that we hadn't necessarily covered before. Yeah, and like it's testament to the success of the watches, really, because in particular the automatics are done really well, and we literally don't have many left of any of the automatic colors. The white's completely sold out. I think maybe the black, the blue, and the green, we've got less than 10 or less left in the watches available.
I think also what the kind of interesting thing is, by being very transparent in terms of people seeing how we go about doing this, you know, right from the very start, from me and you talking about what we're going to want to see in a watch, and you then putting that on paper and that kind of getting going, you know, putting that on Instagram. It's amazing to see, like just saying then that they finally shipped in December. Sam started designing that back in beginning of January. It was literally the first thing that he did when we got back after Christmas. And it's just incredible that it is almost an entire year. And I think it's quite easy when, you know, if you're not being transparent and you just say, here's a watch, it's easy to think like, oh, well, where did that come from? Is that like just an off the shelf case that they haven't really had to do much? They've literally just put a dial on it and that's about it. You know, we've literally designed every single part of this watch. Like there's nothing that's off the shelf or common to any other watches, you know, from the hands, crowns, everything. And it just takes a lot of development, especially with that many colors and making sure all those Pantones are right and making sure they all fit together. And, you know, it is genuinely like a 12-month process. And then we basically
start again, don't we? Every year, we strip the watch completely and build a completely new story. But we're so adamant in retaining this DNA that runs through from the beginning to the end. And it's just such a shame that we've had to hit the pause button temporarily in regards to the 73, which I hope we get to talk about at some point, because that we're sitting on a pile of drawings right now and CADs, and we've actually started taking a couple of deposits literally based on, again, this sort of like just mentioning, passing by to a customer that we're working on this and this. So like there's definitely interest there, and it's going to be exciting to sort of reignite the engines again. Because
we know what it looks like. Like, we're excited about it because we've kind of pretty much decided how it's going to look. So
we introduced, like last year, we introduced the Valley strap, right? So the holes punched into the handmade leather straps that we produce.
Yeah.
And the year previous, we'd introduced the mesh strap. And previous to that, we were looking at like Italian, like the more from the buffalo hides we were using to the Italian straps. Yeah, so like next year it's about making that jump again and introducing something new that we can kind of backdate and place onto other previous items as well.
Yeah,
it's really, yeah, like I loved working on the 68. It kind of felt like we'd revisited the same thinking process we had for the 1940, and I guess that's why I enjoyed it so much. This sort of no holds barred attitude towards color was amazing. And then when we got to thinking about the quantities that we wanted to produce that, and kind of pushing for more of this sort of like limited, these limited amounts, but still being able to offer that at the price points that we're used to, I think that was really successful for our brand.
Yeah, I do have an album just to show you of the awesome car.
Oh yeah,
we got the photograph. Can you see that?
I can see it. So this was in their garage, right?
Yeah, this was in the garage. The driver there, all ready to go.
Yeah.
This thing was, yeah, like when you actually looked at it, I don't know, I mean, I haven't really seen modern Formula One cars in the kind of flesh, but to look at one of these is absolutely tiny. To actually have got to drive one of these must have just been absolutely amazing. I'm kind of very envious of people that still, you know, race these on a regular basis, because you're literally just sat on an engine. That's kind of all you're doing, really. But yeah, it was just like awesome, this thing. You know, it's literally just an engine with a seat bolted on in front of it.
Yeah, to have access to this sort of artifact, I guess.
Yeah,
it's just incredible.
And it was kind of almost like, you know, I'd have loved to have taken photos all over it, but it was like trying to find, you know, you get to the photo shoot and you've got a, you know, an amount of time to think, okay, well, we need to get these specific shots, but I could have literally just photographed this thing all day long. It was just, yeah. And there was also some other amazing cars in the garage, which was also kind of somewhat of a distraction. But see, look, they've got a Smith's speed Repcat there, of England. So yeah, so that was some of the stuff. And then I think I just had a few more to show you, which were, oh, actually, I think that's probably about it in terms of showing, because I don't think I can find them. Oh, no, yeah, can you see this?
Yeah.
So these were just a bit more moody, really. Because also, you know, when we're taking photos like this, it's amazing to take photographs of the car and of the driver and giving this, you know, getting the atmosphere and building the kind of tension, but it's nothing if we don't actually have a photo of the watch. So on all of these, we really had to light them up to make sure that the watch was also the star of the show. So again, quite tricky, but I think they kind of, I think they look pretty awesome.
Yeah, stunning.
So yeah, so they were the watches really.
So before the pandemic hit, we were working hard on the watch to come after the 68, which is the 73, right?
Yeah.
And we are treading down the divers route as our next steps. And yeah, we've had to basically temporarily pause many of the shows that we usually exhibit at, because we're quite a tactile brand, aren't we? Like, we like people to pick up and try on and take a closer look at the product they're wearing, and talk to us.
Mm-hmm.
So getting that across now in a digital method is obviously proving really challenging, but we're hoping that these sort of videos that we're sharing is kind of giving people a kind of brief glimpse into our world, and we just hope to keep increasing that.
Yeah, I think we've had positive comments about these videos for being kind of honest and showing people behind the scenes. I think one of the big things that's come of it, of people just been like, oh my God, I didn't realize just how much went into that. I think people just see a finished result and just think it's kind of, just appears. But yeah, there's a lot of hard work going into the 7 years that we've been bringing these out. And also every year trying to think how we're going to better ourselves, how we're going to make that the next watch better than the watch before. And not that watch wasn't amazing, but we just want to know that, okay, well, the next watch is going to be even more amazing. So what can we do to make those steps? And, how can we take our favorite bits from that watch and move that on into the next watch? So it's always, whenever we get to January, even though we know it's, a huge hill to climb to get kind of, to even having the samples and then having them to send, but we're always pretty excited at Christmas to know that that's what we're doing. It's like we know every year that's the excitement comes as soon as we get back, and we're almost like itching to get back into the workshop and the studio to kind of get on that.
It's also quite flattering when we see a lot of people not directly copy us, but take a similar route, especially as a micro brand, that it's almost like flattery that people are taking a similar, like, we will go out and do something, and then we kind of see a wave of similar brands almost like copy the methods that we're doing to push this brand in a more human way and a more honest and physical way.
I wouldn't say anything that we've done has been conventional, really. We get asked loads to kind of do watch shows, like specific watch shows, and whether they be like down in London or over in Switzerland or wherever it might be, but we kind of don't tread that path, really. We're very much focused on the person that's actually buying it, the person that's going to be wearing it, as opposed to going and surrounding ourselves with other watch brands. We kind of don't really concern ourselves with that. We just like to speak to the people that are actually going to these exhibitions. And at halftime, like 9 times out of 10, we do these exhibitions, all I do is talk about cars to people, because that's one of my other passions. And it's almost like the kind of selling watches is like a second thing. And I know that sounds like ridiculous, but I just love talking about cars. Or it might even be cars. We go to Duxford and we do air shows, get to talk about planes, like all things that like make us excited, basically machines and like anything mechanical. And we get to just talk to people about it. And I just think, well, we could be doing worse things, couldn't we, really?
I mean, we know we can be doing worse things.
Yeah.
And we don't need to talk about that.
But so it's just amazing that and we go back and some of these shows we've been doing for 4 or 5 years now, and we see the same friendly faces every time we go back, and we're like, oh, hi, how you doing? Like, and just like have a proper catch up as if we haven't seen a friend for like 2 years or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so it's just a real shame, but we're going to basically just have a real push in terms of digital content, and maybe we'll be doing many more of these videos in the future in regards to the development of the new watch, or whether it's sort of like a discussion about some particular aspect in our workshop. Like it's all worth sharing.
Yeah, and also if you like, if anyone's got any questions that they want to ask us, like go ahead, like drop us a message.
Yeah.
Like, if we do these videos in future, we'll try and answer any questions that anyone might have if we haven't cleared anything up over these videos. But yeah, we'd be more than happy to like chat over people's questions.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been fun. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely. Cool.
Right then.
Right, we should say bye then, shouldn't we?
Say bye for now.
Bye for now.
Bye for now. See you later, everybody.
Bye-bye.